Alrighty, Fish Unfiltered, episode 62. We have a very, very special guest with us, Xavier Edwards. Xavier, thank you for joining us. We're very honored to have you. Let's get started right away. A couple years ago, you were in Tampa, one of their top prospects, and you get traded here to Miami. How did you find out about the trade, and what was your initial reaction coming back pretty close to home?
I found out, it was at the 40-man roster deadline, like Rule 5 deadline. I got a call from our, farm director at the time, and he would just let me know that, they were trading me, they weren't protecting me, and then I talked to Kim, probably an hour after that, and then she told me that, they were glad to have me aboard, that they've been trying to trade for me for a while, and they were adding me to the 40-man roster, so that's kind of how I found out. But yeah, definitely excited to be back home. It's nice having family and friends that can come out, spend time with family and stuff.
How familiar were you with Bendix before the trade, and now was there any familiarity there or no?
I knew him, vaguely. I knew the staff in Tampa. I talked to him a few times, but not really anything too in depth. I've gotten to know him more, I would say, here than I did there.
Well, you got off to a little bit of a late start this year with that injury that you suffered. I believe it was spring training, the foot infection. Just take us through the recovery process of that. How did that even happen? And there's the whole story of that because it was crazy.
Yeah, really, really crazy time. Kind of scary, honestly, looking back on it. So I had athlete's foot. Ended up, I got into a pool, and I guess some of the chemicals that were in the pool ended up getting it infected, period. So that's how I got kind of the bacterial infection in my bloodstream. And then, the recovery process was kind of long. I went to the hospital, stayed overnight for a day, got a bunch of IVs and hooked up and stuff, a lot of blood work. They figured out what kind of infection it was, and then I had to do IV treatments. So I had a midline basically in my arm. Through basically IV. I got my antibiotics through IV, and I had that in my arm for 2 weeks straight. And a doctor would come to my hotel at 6 a.m., 2 p.m., and 10 p.m. to give me my antibiotics for 12 straight days. And it was just stuck in my arm. I had to leave it in all hours of the day. And I did that for about 2 weeks. And then after that, I finally started going back in. My foot still wasn't healed yet, but I started going back in. The infection was out of my system, so that was kind of in the clear a bit. And then I started building up, doing upper body lifts and slowly doing lower body stuff, and then we finally got the wound to close, and then that's how I kind of got in the clear.
Yeah, 2 months later you make your debut, or your season debut, and you come back and you really start hitting well, and then Milwaukee comes along right before the deadline, and you get the cycle. Take us through that day, and take us through that final at bat, because it was pretty tight right there, right when you had to beat out the throw. Yeah,
that day. Yeah, I remember it pretty well. I remember talking to Hardy, our hitting guy, in the cage before the game. I was like, dude, I think I feel it today. Because the day before, I faced the volley, I didn't feel that great in the box. Just didn't feel like I was on my backside at all. I couldn't really find it. And then I felt it that day before in the game. I was like, Hardy, I think I feel it today. And sure enough, ended up being a really good day. But yeah, the last at bat, I was thinking about the last probably 2.5 innings. I was thinking, there's no way I'm going to fall a single shy, right? Because I'd never been that close to a cycle before.
Right.
There's no way I'm going to fall a single shy. And for whatever reason, when I was on defense, I was like, I think it's going to be a two-strike hit. I don't know why I was thinking two-strike hit. That's a terrible reason, a terrible excuse to have, or a terrible approach to have going to your last at-bat of the day. But I was thinking two-strike hit, and I ended up getting it, so I'm really glad I did.
Because you were a single shy. Let's say, hypothetically, you hit one into the gap or something. Would you have stopped that first?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, I'm stopping.
You're stopping?
I hit a double any other day. I've never hit a cycle in my life.
So you hit one to the wall, you're staying at first.
Stopping.
That's hilarious.
And we were down by 4 or 6-2.
Right. If anything, it helps. You need base runners.
Yeah, we need more base runners. I've been all right.
You've been switching for a long time. Just when did that begin for you? And was there ever a time in your professional career where you were thinking of just giving that up and only hitting from your natural side?
I started really, really young, about 6 years old or so. My dad got me into it, and I put a lot of time in it. I didn't really start doing it in games until 9 or 10, because when you're 8, 9, the travel baseball games seem like the World Series every weekend.
Yeah, of course.
So we had to win. And then my dad was just you're gonna have to do it and practice it and do it in a game if you really want to be good at it. So I stuck with it. I'm really glad I did. There was times, through amateur ball and stuff where I thought about not hitting lefty anymore. But now I'm really glad that I stuck with it. And it's been a huge blessing, and I'm glad my dad talked to me.
Yeah.
You faced a lot of pitchers in your career, last year especially as well. In the playoffs, you had to face a really good Phillies bullpen. Just who's been the toughest guys you faced?
Toughest guys I've faced. I mean, there's a good bit. You know, the guys up here got good stuff. I thought Zavala was good. He mixed and matched. The kid Schwellenbach from the Braves was good. He had good stuff. A good mix. I really moved the ball across the plate. So yeah, there's been a lot of guys, you know. But,
I guess hitting has come pretty easy for you. I'm just curious because you put the ball in play more consistently than, well, I guess as consistently as anyone in baseball. Do you do that? Do you have like a two-strike approach the entire at bat, or do you sort of are just better at putting the ball in play than most people?
No, I wouldn't say. I do have a two-strike approach, but not the whole at bat. I usually I'll bring it out with two strikes for the most part, depending on how I'm feeling. It really depends on how my swing's feeling and how I feel like my body's moving in the box. But besides that, no, I just try to keep it pretty simple, swing at good pitches. And I think if I swing at good pitches, then I have a good shot of making a lot of contact and getting a lot of hits.
So defensively, you've played shortstop, you've played second for the Marlins. Where have you kind of felt more comfortable, and what's the feedback that they've given you, as well as just what's the biggest difference between playing those two positions?
I would say the biggest difference, I mean, you just have to move your feet a lot more at short. The throw is further, but I think it starts with your feet, just going towards the ball faster, and just getting your feet moving forward. At second, you can kind of way back, just catch the ball, and the guy should be out, 99% of the time. So it's a bit different at short. But I'm really liking my time at short. It's kind of almost forgetting how to play second because I haven't played in probably a month and a half now. But yeah, just kind of really diving into playing shortstop, and I'm really enjoying it again. Remembering how much I loved playing short as an amateur and beginning of my pro career. So really enjoying it over there.
You spent a lot of time in Jacksonville, obviously this year, last year. Are there any guys currently in Jacksonville that you think deserve a chance in September when rosters expand?
I mean, a bunch of them. Troy, swinging the bat. I haven't really been looking at stats because I don't really look at other people's stats too much. But I mean, I know Troy can hit. I know Griff's having a good year. I know Mesa, I think he might be hurt now. But Mesa was having a good year, so now I can hit. So, there's a lot of guys that I think deserve a shot. It kind of stinks that there's only one spot when the roster expands. I know some of the new guys are swinging the bat as well.
Yeah.
Guys we got from the Yankees and the Diamondbacks. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's going to be a tough battle come down this next month, right?
Yeah.
Just August, and then it'll expand one more guy. But yeah, I think there's plenty of deserving guys.
What do you remember when he got called up that first time?
From last year?
Yeah, when he made your debut.
We had just landed in Memphis. We were taking the bus from the airport to the hotel, and Brownie had me come sit next to him on the bus, which I never do. So I sat next to him, and he was telling me I was going to pick it up. I was like, no way. And I called my parents when we got there, and woke up early the next morning and was on my way. But pretty cool day.
You mentioned the trade, some of the guys that came back, some of the guys that went away, including Jazz, Gordon, Bell. Were any of those tough for you to swallow? Do you have any relationships with some of the guys that were traded?
Yeah, absolutely. But me and Bell have really grown our relationship since last year. I mean, I just met him last September when I was September call-up last year. And we hit it off with him the first week and a half of me being up here, and I stayed in contact, talked to the off season. Really, this last month, me being back up here, we got to really talk, and our lockers are right next to each other, so we talked a bunch. We go out to dinner all the time on the road. We'll probably go to dinner when we play them, I think next week.
Yeah, a couple of weeks from now they come here.
So we'll probably go to dinner then. So that one was tough. Jazz, same thing. Me and him were just kind of starting to get rolling at the top of the lineup, and we were playing good ball. We were getting the lineup going and turning over and stuff. So I miss playing with him for sure.
Speaking of Bell, now that he's gone, number 9 is now available, your high school number. You're wearing number 63. Are you going to try and get number 9 maybe for next year?
Yeah, I am going to try to get number 9 next year. For sure. That's my favorite number, my mom's favorite number, and the number I've worn my whole baseball career. So, I'm going to try to get it next year.
And finally, you mentioned getting close to guys here at the major league level. Who are some guys at the AAA level that you really got close to?
I live with Troy, so getting to hang around Troy off the field is a whole nother beast compared
he's
to
a nice guy.
Him on the field. Yeah, he is. He's a talker, and he's a great, just always has a good attitude, great spirit. So getting to hang with him and his wife is always fun. I'm off the field, and my girlfriend and me got a close relationship with them from our time spent there. So Troy, mainly Troy. I would say he was the main one this year, just because we lived together.
Well, last thing for me before we close it out, Xavier, you're OPSing the 900s. Things have gone so well for you this year. What is something that you'd like to improve on your offensive side of the ball?
Consistency, just staying consistent. Every day is a new opportunity, a new game, and just being consistent. I don't think you could ever be too consistent. So just not taking at bats off, taking each at bat as its own, and whether it's a good at bat or a bad at bat, just moving on to the next one and just being consistent as you can, having pro at bats.
And last one before we wrap up, it snapped yesterday, but you had a 23 on base streak.
Yeah.
Did you ever think about that during any of the games? I mean, you were up there with Trey Turner, kind of competing to see who would have it longer.
Yeah, I started thinking about it, honestly, recently, because I kept seeing it on the TV screen all the time. I wasn't thinking about it before then. I probably should have stopped and not think about it at all, but I was the last few days. So, it's behind me now, and we just move forward.
All right, we're going to wrap it up here, Xavier. Thank you so much for the time. We really appreciate it. From Isaac, Xavier, and I, we'll see you guys all next week. Peace out and go Fish.